Sit! Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Rich Dotson, here, my fellow nerds, Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
And Garret Price.
How's it going?
It's going well for myself, but for a lot of fantasy teams, not so well. It's been a funny, if you're into funny jokes, 1/5 of the season so far. A lot of superstars looking more like supernovas, and some guys on the radar are looking pretty good. You know, like the running back situation, like, hey, I got Austin Eckler. And you're like, whoa. I got Cordero Patterson. And you're like, jealous.
Dang it.
I'm so jealous. He's got over 300 yards rushing.
I wish I had Devin Singletary.
Yeah, I wish, at this point, right? So we're going to get into this week 3 of the season, recording on a Monday night. First time we've ever recorded on a Monday night.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah, it's a little different, but that means the show comes out sooner.
True.
So I don't think anybody's going to be upset about that.
I mean, we're missing the game, Monday night game, and it sounds like
That's
we're missing
committed
much.
we are. No, it does not sound like a good
Zeke.
game. So if you don't get any information on the Monday night game, it's because it's literally going on while we're talking.
While we speak.
Dude, I wonder if Zeke's going to move in next to my grandpa at the retirement center. Not looking too good out there. Yeah. A lot of CeeDee Lamb not doing anything to
It's the Noah Brown show.
Yeah, not doing anything to shed that dynasty scary. You know, I know it's Halloween season coming upon us, but come on, hey buddy, don't need to get that don't need to become a whole full furry.
Furry?
I mean, they dress up, right?
Yes, I think so.
Kind of like Halloween, right? Except for the under the tail. No costume there. From what I've heard.
From what you've heard.
Yeah, it kind of freaks me out. But
Not that you've ever been to a convention or anything.
Dude, I tell everybody. I was talking to some guys at work when we went to the Fantasy Football Expo and stuff. Like, oh, it's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, it's no difference than going to like a knitting convention or Dungeons and Dragons convention or even a furry convention. You know, like that's my jam. Like if your jam is to like dress up as like a animal and then go like hug other people, like cool, dude. As long as you're happy. So tell everybody, like, I don't care what you do.
Right? You do you.
You do you.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I thought as long as everybody's happy and whatever they do makes them happy and doesn't hurt anybody else, dude, have a ball. You know what I mean?
There you
Go knit sweaters for squirrels. Like whatever's your jam. You know, like I don't care. Got to put those nuts somewhere. So let's get into week 3 recap, shall we?
Yes,
But
please.
before we do that, can we talk about our friends at PrizePicks?
We can.
Can we do that? You know, little over-unders, little prop action. That's what PrizePicks does, right? Like right now, if you want to take Justin Jefferson, Austin Eckler, you want to take all these guys' stats and pick the under on these props, then you're going to come out way ahead. Because
probably would.
Nobody's producing. Hey, if Justin Jefferson's got a good cornerback on him, what are you going to do?
Cry.
Take the under.
Apparently cry if you're putting him in your starting lineup like me. Yes, you're right, Garret.
Yeah. You want to take
Such a good week 1.
You want to take the Clyde Edwards-Helaire over under rushing yards 11? Smash the under. Smash the under. It could get you there.
This Thursday, it's the Dolphins versus the Bengals.
Yep.
Tua, 260 yards passing. With the bad back, you going under or over on that one?
With the bad back.
And it's Thursday night.
And it's Thursday, 260.
260. The Cheetah was out there talking smack.
I know, that's the thing, though. Cheetah was talking mad smack to Eli Apple. Yeah, he's going to like the Apple.
I think I'd still take the over. 260 in today's NFL isn't that much. Like, I think I would take the over.
Our 269 for Joe Burrow.
I think I'll take the over on both.
I'll take the over, too.
All right.
Yeah.
Those are both the
It's
lines.
close, though. It's a good line.
Yeah.
It got me to think about it, but I'll take the over.
All right.
I'll take the over. What's the Joe Mixon? It's got to be low, right? Rushing yards? Let me guess, son. 59.
Well, I'm on rushing, or I'm passing. Let me go over to the rushing.
I know that's what Thursday night rushing.
Joe Mixon.
Offensive
rush.
I don't see him yet. Hold on, Joe.
Wow, how many running backs are on there?
A lot.
Imagine P. Ryan's hurt, so I don't know.
He's not on this front page of them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what PrizePicks is. I mean, it's just player props, right? You pick 2 to 5 players over under other projections. You go up to 10 times your entry. It's just you versus the projected numbers. And it's not just football. You know, basketball is upon us. Baseball still going on. My Guardians clicked
75.5 yards
under
for Tyreek.
Oh, I thought that was Joe Mixon.
Oh,
for
smashing you over.
Tyreek. Smash you over.
Smash you over.
He's going to do that on one play.
Yeah.
He's talking himself in third person
I'll take the over.
by his nickname.
The cheetah.
Yeah, he's like, this is Cheetah. He's wearing those big glasses, those big Pat Mahomes glasses too. He's like talking smack to Eli, talking about himself in third person. It's like, oh, well,
He's ready to go.
you are a unique individual.
Justin Jefferson this week coming up. Speaking of him, 88.5. Yeah, right?
Who they playing?
It's weird that feels scary.
New Orleans.
Oh, Lattimore.
Marshawn.
Under.
Take it. Marshawn, stud. Take it. Under.
I mean,
This is it. I mean, look how easy this is to win some cash.
And that's his first game back after the Mike Evans thing, too. He's going to be salty. He's going to be playing good.
So get on there, download the app, PrizePicks. Make sure you use the promo code NERDS when you sign up. When you do, you get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You're supporting the show.
Dollars.
Sorry, I'm Canadian. And
Dollars, eh?
they're dollars, okay? They're dollars. Use that promo code NERDS. That's important. We're going to do something for the listeners down the road for that as well. Check them out. PrizePicks. Use the basketball. Use the baseball. Use the MMA. Use everything.
Want to be
on,
a
Ed.
baller.
I want to be a shot caller.
I wish I was a little bit taller.
20-inch rims on my Dodge Ram. Son, I think those come stocked at 20-inch rims. I'm not sure. So PrizePicks, check them out.
Check him out.
You guys ready to talk injuries?
Yes, yes, sir.
Garrett, what do you think's going on there on the injury bug for the NFL season?
I think there's a lot of things going on. I think we should talk first and foremost about Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, dislocated shoulder. Now, this is something that he's dealt with
Multiple times
in his career. Probably not a huge deal. He is going to be wearing a harness again, which he's worn in the past, and he might even play this week. So probably won't affect anything, but something to keep your eye on, especially if, do they play early, late? I don't know.
I don't know either.
But either way,
double check.
Reports are he's supposed to play. Just put on the harness. He normally wears a harness and kind of take it off there. And sure enough, pops the shoulder out there. So, I mean, he was off to a good game. Then he heard out that Madison came in here.
Who then also played very well.
Dalvin Cook on, because we're going to get, once we get through these injuries, we got to talk about the running backs as a whole in the NFL. Do. I mean, it's like a trap door that you didn't see coming. You're standing there having a good time. All of a sudden, it's like, you ready for this abundance of running backs? And you're like, yeah. Next thing you know, you're in a pit of snakes, darkness, your clothes are off. You don't know why. And there's KY jelly everywhere. And you're like, what is going on around here? I did not sign up for this. And you realize there's a trap door.
Are they over in London? It's a 9:30 a.m.
Oh, that's right. They are in London.
Yeah.
It is the first of the London games this week. So
how's that air pressure on your shoulder?
Well, the good news is you'll know right away, though, if he's playing or not.
Sure.
So.
That is true. That is good news. So, but still, the floor hasn't dropped out on Dalvin Cook at least.
No.
So, but we'll talk about that. I want to talk about the running backs as a whole. It's a big topic that's been in my head all day today. Because obviously all the games were yesterday. Usually have a whole day. Usually have a whole day. I have 2 days to decompress
we have more
and think
time
about the games.
That's why I was furiously trying to get this done.
Your
quickly.
Fingers look tired.
I didn't have time to go back and watch the game NFL Game Pass and watch all the games. I didn't have time. Thank goodness the Browns didn't play yesterday, so I was able to actually sit on my couch and watch the Sunday. That's like a special holiday in itself. Like when the Browns have their bye week or they play on a night game, it's like I get to watch all of Sunday Ticket.
Right.
Because I don't mess around. There's so many people that watch their games and they'll watch their team and have the Red Zone channel on. Not me. It's Browns all the way through. No exceptions. There'd be times when the Browns
you'll have a secondary TV with Red Zone or no?
No.
Oh, no.
No distraction. No. When the Browns were 0-16,
I would still have it.
My buddies were like,
he's doing it wrong.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. They get my full undevoted attention. That's it. So,
undevoted, undivided, anything.
Dude, it's me talking.
My attention is completely undevoted.
Undevoted. Completely devoted attention is what they get. So, and then they'll be down 2 touchdowns and they're 0-15. People are like, can we just turn the Red Zone channel? I'm like, no.
Shut your mouth.
Did you not see the Jets game the other night? Like, anything could happen.
That was against us, though.
I know. Even more so. So, let's talk about another injury here. David Montgomery, knee and ankle injury, considered day-to-day right now. Khalil Herbert comes in, looks very sharp.
Wearing the Bears one.
Wearing the Bears colors today for my boy Khalil.
Look at that.
Khalil looks good.
I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep saying it for the rest of the year. But those are my 2 favorite running backs last year. They're late round picks: Khalil Herbert and Ramondre Stevenson, and they both came in this week and looked damn good. Yards after contact, Khalil looked fantastic, explosive.
Was it 157 yards rushing?
Yeah,
two touchdowns.
He crushed.
He had like
absolutely
130
crushed.
after contact.
And he's up inside the top 10 of running backs now just from basically that game.
Yep.
I mean, we mentioned this earlier in the year when we talked about, I think, was he on your bold prediction show?
He was. I said he was going to supplant David
Montgomery.
This guy, Nostradamus.
Saying
Get my
there's a
crystal
chance.
balls on my pants and put them in your lap.
Ugh.
Saying there's a chance.
My wife's going to be so mad.
When was the last time you cleaned those things?
Oh, it's been a while. Manscaped hasn't come and calling for advertising in a while. So come back to me, baby.
Baby, come back.
Matt wants my crystals. No, Khalil looks great. And when we mentioned that, we talked about Khalil Herbert in depth about that bold prediction show. It's like, listen, David Montgomery's not coming back. They're in a very weird place here. Mm-hmm. They're obviously not throwing the football. They have no urge to throw the football in Chicago whatsoever.
I spoke about that last week as well. Like, I think they're just going to very slowly bring this guy along. They're going to lean on the rushing attack and run. And it's something that I feel like NFL teams used to do more in the past and say, like, the 80s and 90s. Like, that's kind of how they brought guys into the NFL and kind of got them acclimated. Run. Even when we're losing, we're still running. We have to like establish this and really make the passing game as easy as possible for these quarterbacks when they do throw, and then just build upon the little things that they do well. And maybe that's their plan. It looks like it anyway.
I saw a crazy stat that there's like 8 quarterbacks that threw more passes than Justin Field has all year this past week. It's insane.
Yeah.
Scott Fishbowl.
But they've been winning.
Scott
Fishbowl.
Fishbowl.
That's the hard part is like
Justin
it's hard to
Fields minus 2 points. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate your negative support. You have my undevoted attention.
support.
Undevoted attention going forward. Thank you so much.
You've earned it.
So the David Montgomery injury is somewhat concerning because Khalil Herbert looks like he's just gobbling up that value.
Going forward, it up until this point has not been a true split. Do we think after this performance, him being used more in the red zone, do we think it might become a true split backfield?
That's what I thought all along. I mean, I thought eventually there's going to be some reason or another that they're going to see Khalil Herbert on the field and realize that he's just like kind of a better fit or maybe a more explosive guy and gets it done in a different way than David Montgomery, and then he just starts kind of supplanting him as the season goes on.
Yeah, David Montgomery, even though he had the really bad week 1, it was weird because of the rain and all that. Yeah. Week 2, he actually played really well.
He looked good. Yeah.
He's one of the leaders in broken tackles, so it's not like he's been playing terrible. It's just every time Herbert's gotten the ball, it's been exciting.
Right.
I think it boils down to what you said. It becomes more of a 50-50 split to carry the way for him to be the main guy there in 2023.
You're so dirty, Garrett. I saw that smile.
I know. I know what I said. I'm testing him. See how clean he is over there. Be a true son.
It's hard sometimes with this guy.
You just never know what to expect.
So with the expectation of, I think there's a path for Khalil Herbert to lead the Bears backfield next year, right?
Yeah.
Like what's in Dynasty? What do you cream? Come on, that's 2 weeks ago, buddy. Stop living in the past.
Creamy.
I have many more things to say that won't come out correctly.
It's still gonna get me like every time I think about it.
It's not. It's even off the show.
Yeah.
What we had our nerds meeting the other day, and wasn't Josh was like, "Don't you mean this word?" I'm like, everybody knows what I meant.
Everyone knows.
Everyone.
I have a very vast grasp of the English language.
Like
what other language you speak? I'm like, that's it.
That's it.
That's all I learned.
Rich
Can you imagine me trying to learn a second language?
You would be so unintentionally offensive.
Hey, que pasta! Like, oh, wow, okay. Italian and Spanish? Like, yep, all the above.
Me llama.
My llama. My kids read those books. My llama. I'm reading my son. Teaching my kids Spanish. Look at this, my llama book.
Yeah.
My name is Bedtime Stories. What? What a weird name.
So odd.
All right. Khalil Herbert, though.
Not odd.
Good player.
Khalil Sherbert.
Come on.
What do you think? And what would you like for? Obviously, for draft pick wise, or okay, here's one for you. Over the edge, Zeke Elliott. Who do you want, Khalil Herbert or Zeke Elliott, going forward for your dynasty team? I already know this guy's answer. He hates senior citizens. See what he does at crosswalks. It's very rude.
That's really tough. If it's a contender, I'm probably still taking Zeke.
Okay.
But any other situation, middle of the road rebuild, I'm taking Herbert.
Surprisingly, even though I hate senior citizens, apparently, according to Rich, allegedly.
Everyone knows that about you.
Dude, his nickname used to be reindeer for what he did to my grandma's walking home. My grandma walking home from my house.
I would still take Zeke in most scenarios.
True rebuild, would you still?
No, I just feel like there's probably more value in his name, so I don't know. But if I'm going by game, Khalil Herbert's definitely what I'll use your word, more exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there was value in the name until like, well, let me get an update on the game while I'm talking.
The problem is he hasn't had much value in like a couple years.
Yeah, you're right.
But he was running back one last. The thing though is he's produced every single year.
He's produced, but what's his value been? And that's, I think the difference is, even though he actually has produced, maybe not on a points per game basis, but on a season long basis, I think everybody's been down on Zeke for 2 years now. So what you were getting for him wasn't much.
You were still able to get like a first round draft pick for him though at the end of last year, if in the right scenario and in a playoff run and stuff like that. So
Zeke had a 27-yard run, averaging 6.9, 8 carries, 55 yards so far. So
there
not too bad.
Tell me there's a chance.
So that's the thing. Zeke's value's been hurt, kind of like he's been like the Mike Evans of running backs, right? Like for a couple of years, and he's been a running back one. Now with the chance of him not producing, so much closer to being not the main guy there in Dallas, like what's the value now? Right. Now you should be able to get Khalil Herbert plus for him, but I bet in the actual like going like the real world when people say, oh, you should trade this, I'm like that's never going to happen. I think it'd be a hard trade to make for Khalil Herbert for Zeke.
CeeDee Lamb, for the record, is now leading the team in receiving. Woo. 2 catches for 40 yards.
Look at that. He's got 7 more yards than Noah Brown.
To Noah Brown's 33 yards on 2 catches.
I think Khalil Herbert
2 catches for 20 yards, buddy. You read that way wrong.
You're right. I did.
Still in second. But I think Herbert, and this is the case with a lot of backup, I'm going to put that in air quotes, backup running backs that are producing are one of the most difficult assets to make trades for, because the person that has them sees them producing, sees the potential in them, but the person trying to acquire them is not going to pay for what they could be. They're going to pay for them still being a backup. So they're really hard assets to try to figure out what the value is, because you're going to want to get a first for Khalil Herbert, but no one's ever going to pay you a first. You see what I'm saying?
You think you would want a first if you had Khalil Herbert?
Would you take a second if you had him?
I would take a high second, a high 23 second. Yeah.
I don't know that I would.
Superflex. Like if it was like somebody had, again, if we're talking about a very specific situation, like somebody had David Montgomery, or somebody's like a big Chicago Bears fan, right? And they watch all the games, they believe in Khalil Herbert, and they have a bottom 3 team, and they know it, but they're okay with giving a second for Khalil Herbert. Like I would take that. Yeah.
I might be able to do that after the season when I know for sure that I'm getting like 2-1. Then I might be willing to trade Herbert.
I think 2-1, 2-3 range I'm in there, because I think this class is deep enough to really offer some good value there. Even at the running back position.
And I'm with you, Rich. I would get rid of him for a second-round draft pick, too. And in most scenarios, almost all. I can't really think of one where I wouldn't.
But what if he's the starter next year? Because David Montgomery's gone.
You're right. He is.
Yeah, for me, it had to be a high second. It
That's
wouldn't be
the
any
tough
second.
part.
Because I do expect him to have a chance to challenge for that job.
Better offensive line with all their picks next year.
He is a true 2 to 3 year window guy, though. If you could flip him and turn him into a long-term wide receiver type of asset or something like that in the next year's draft, I'd be okay with that. You know what I mean? I don't know that if you're in a rebuild for sure, like, what are you going to do with a guy 2 to 3 years down the road that, maybe your team's coming into form by then. So I'd be okay doing that kind of thing. I guess if you're, in more of a competitive mode, I would probably hold on to him and just hope for the best, because who knows what you're going to get out of a long-term, wide receiver.
He could end up being the next Austin Eckler. The guy that showed up with Melvin Gordon there, kind of outlasted him and became the guy.
And for the same point, like you were selling Austin Eckler the same strategy, like I got a first for Austin Eckler that year. One of my shares I sold to a contender, thinking, hey, he has potential to be the guy. Maybe he won't be. I don't know. And obviously, that person that got Austin Eckler got a heck of a deal for a late first. So Khalil Herbert, to me, I think he's worth a high second-round pick right now on one opportunity he has in Chicago right here. So it's like immediate return for your value because he's already producing, right? Like even with Montgomery in the field, he's still getting enough carries where he could be a flex play. And with the opportunity to be the guy next year for the Chicago Bears, which again, then he's in his third year in the NFL. So he was not a day one pick, so he's only got one more year left on his contract. The odds of him getting a second contract are going to be pretty slim. So you're mostly talking about a 2.5 year window on him. That's him staying healthy, and it's him being guaranteed the job. So any running back like that shows a little bit of glimpse, I'm offering a second because if he can help me now with a little opportunity in the future. But anything out that, yeah, you're looking at like players. Like if I could flip Khalil Herbert for like Curtis Samuel, like I would do that. I would love to look at some wide receivers that offer some upside here for a guy like Khalil Herbert. Maybe Sky Moore hasn't done much. Can I give Khalil Herbert plus? For Sky Moore.
I would do that deal.
Can I get Curtis Samuel plus? Sky Moore's value is down right now with what he's been doing. And literally not even playing.
With the lack of,
playing at all. And I'm a believer. I just traded this week. I traded Terry McLaurin, 1 QB, PPR. I traded Terry McLaurin for Derek Carr because I had no quarterback outside of Dak. Literally none. I had to pick Cooper Rush off the waiver wire. For Derek Carr, Sky Moore, and a 24 first. So, because I'm out on out's a bad word to say, but we kind of talked about it last week a little bit. Terry McLaurin.
You're nervous about Terry, and
I just
had a
view
good week this week, but I understand the nervousness.
I just view him as a mid-range wide receiver too, is what I view him as, and I can find those guys. Like I'd rather take Sky Moore, who I think has the same high ceiling as a mid-wide too, get a quarterback that can help me produce, and then get a good game 124 class, which is. Right now, shaped up to be another very solid class, like every class.
Yeah, Washington's receiving core is tough because it's 3 really good receivers that all deserve targets.
They're all just going to eat into each other's targets, basically.
It's going to make it tough.
Yep.
Good for best ball, tough for any other.
It'll be that way for 2 years. So, like, I just give me the cheapest value there, which is Curtis Samuel. And if not, then if I'm going to pay a premium, I'm going to get a little bit younger. I'm going to say Jahan Dotson, who looks just as good. So, more injuries this week. Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, both with foot injuries, both considered not too serious, should be okay. It's why Olave actually had his best game so far, went off on there. The king of air yards himself, Chris Olave, we talked about that. What I like about that from a dynasty aspect, what it showed me is Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are not long for the future in New Orleans.
Right.
What it showed me is that Olave can step up and be the guy there in New Orleans. So that's the biggest thing I took away with it. It sounds like, Landry's was out and Thomas is out. Well, for the future, that's the
what
case.
It'll look like.
This is a team that gave up a lot to get Olave. They trade up to get Olave. And Jarvis Landry's on a 1-year contract. As soon as they get out from that Michael Thomas money, they're gone on that Michael Thomas money. So I was very encouraged for a team that didn't have Taysom Hill. Jameis Winston's banged up, and Olave still was able to come through and produce at a high level as the guy, right? Like there's no shade to be taken away everywhere else. So it's very encouraging. It's very encouraging what we're seeing in Dynasty right now. Out of these receivers that are top 15, top 16 picks, all coming in and producing immediately.
Absolutely.
It's been such a hard thing that we have not been able to see, and we've been so spoiled over the last couple of years. Because before that, you get guys going like Corey Coleman's and the Vikings receiver. There's so many of those.
Treadwell.
The Bills, Jeff Ross. All these guys are going like top 15, giving us nothing in return, like nothing. And now we've been blessed of the last 3 to 4 years that every single one of these guys has been producing. I think the last bust, honestly, was probably Corey Davis. Who had
was all the way back in
tape.
17.
So that's a while ago. A guy who of that high of draft capital hasn't produced.
Right.
So it's been very interesting, to say the least.
You could throw Kadarius Toney in there. I think from last year.
Well, him not being active is
it's
definitely
bad.
kind of burned his.
Yeah,
bridge.
there's a couple guys in there but as far as like the top guys in the class from day one that we said like these are the top 2, top
and guys
3
we liked. We didn't love. We thought a Toney pick was a bad pick, not for the first place.
Right.
But for Olave, who we gave, we had a pretty high grade on him. We had him like 7th overall, I think, in Dynasty rankings. I know I viewed him. I came out and said, hey, I think he's more of a wide receiver too. I feel like already week 3, I'll admit I'm wrong on that one. I think I missed. I know you're a little bit lower. How do you feel after 3 weeks of his career in the NFL?
I think right now he's in the perfect situation for his skill set. It's a guy that wants to force the ball down the field, and he's down there catching him. I don't know if long term that's going to work out all that well. We'll see. I haven't watched him physically to see if he's, I guess, changed it all from college, the college tape that I saw. Because he wasn't the most physical guy. He wasn't a yards after catch type of guy. He was a make a spectacular play down the field type of guy. And I just wasn't sure if that was going to translate into week in, week out type of fantasy production. But with Jameis Winston right now just chucking the ball all over the place, doesn't give a crap if he's throwing interceptions or not, it's going to work out great for him.
Yep.
I just don't know if he's going to be with that kind of guy for his whole career. And if he is, that's great. He's going to definitely outstrip my expectations anyway.
It's hard to talk about these guys in depth on a podcast because I'll tell you this for what it is. It's almost like a waste of breath because you can't buy these. Nobody. Good luck trying to buy Chris Olave.
Oh no.
Trying to buy Garrett Wilson or Drake. The price. We've seen so much success of these young guys. Their price tag immediately goes through the roof at this point. So if you're buying them, they're overpaying. And what might be an overpay today might be an underpay tomorrow. But like Matt said, it's still we're a fifth away through the regular season already. Calmly. Mac Jones.
Pump the brakes. Yep.
Ankle injury, high ankle sprain, bad one too. Potential surgery. Supposed to miss multiple games. Again, as a Browns fan, I'm pretty stoked about that. Don't want anybody hurt, but he's going to miss our game. So Brian Hoyer's lost 11 straight. So sorry, bro. Sorry. But as you know, him and Devontae Parker came out this week, had a really good rapport. Right. Parker had that one catch on the sideline. It was an absolute beaut. He got his feet in. I have no idea how he got his feet in. He looked absolutely fantastic. So it sucks to see that. We're looking for this New England receiver to step up and have themselves establish themselves as the number one guy. And it looks like him and Mac Jones had a really good connection there early throughout the game, and then he gets hurt. He's going to miss probably 4 to 6 weeks for that kind of injury. If he has surgery, probably the back end of the 6 weeks. So that's a month and a half injury.
And with how good that division looks with Miami and Buffalo, that's
where are they going to be when he gets back? Right?
Exactly. At that point, it's almost a lost season if
you're losing him in the same spot when he was there.
Yeah, at the bottom. It's going to be tough.
It's tough because those teams are so good right now.
They're so good. They didn't have much of a chance with him without him. It's weird to say going into week 4 your season's over. But their season might be.
I saw a stat today. Brian Hoyer's lost 11 straight.
They're good real football teams too. They're not just fun for us fantasy people that are loving all the point scorers, scoring and everything. They're actually real good teams. So
yeah,
it's a tough division to be in right now for Bill.
So Superflex leagues, if Brian Hoyer's on your waiver wire, obviously he's a pickup because he's going to start here for a little while. And maybe who knows? Maybe we'll get that Jacoby Brissett all of a sudden look where he's competent and pretty sweet.
Looking pretty good.
Pretty good. About time something goes good for the Browns. And then, as I said, as Myles Garrett gets in a car accident and flips his car today.
Thoughts and prayers on that one, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's okay.
Hope he's wearing a seatbelt. No reported injuries yet, as long as there's no broken bones.
They said minor injuries.
Both passengers, minor injuries. They were wearing their safety belts and no alcohol or drugs. So
good for them.
Yep.
AJ Green, knee injury. If you're starting AJ Green, your team's in bad shape.
Did we just jump back in time?
I mean,
no.
With their wide receiver core right now, it's getting depleted fast.
We're halfway through. DeAndre Hopkins coming back.
I think it's notable that in his absence, we're going to see more Greg Dortch, right?
Until Rondé comes back.
Yeah.
But then AJ Green's out, it's even more Greg Dortch, who's on fire right now. Had 15 points this week.
He's been great.
He's been doing double-digit points every single week. So. Yeah, I mean,
he's one of those guys that we talk about at the end of our wide receiver breakdowns as prospects. We did it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and there were some positives about him, but it was nothing like, oh yeah, he'll end up being a starter in the league and stuff. But he's made the most of his opportunities, and you'd love to see that out of those late round guys.
Absolutely.
And it's he's been focusing on pretty much the two receivers. We saw Marquise Brown, 17 targets, 14 receptions. Dortch started the game off a little slow, had the 2 catches early on, but they came out real strong at the end, obviously when they were trailing. But you got to remember, they were trailing, trying to come back here, throwing the ball an absolute ton. No Rondale Moore, who will eat in some of his targets. And then on top of that, when DeAndre Hopkins is back in 3 more weeks, Dortch is probably torched. That's good. I should be Dr. Seuss's sidekick.
Yeah, you nailed that one.
Tua Tagovailoa, speak of that guy, back injury as well, possible concussion. Not clear if he could play on Thursday night or not.
That one was weird. Obviously, the news coming out from the Dolphins are it was his back. We had him checked for a concussion several times. Like it was a back spasm that basically went out. So who knows? Thursday, that's a quick turnaround.
It's a very quick turnaround.
I'm not sure if he's even going to be there. If that is a true back injury and just not a concussion that they're trying to flub its way through.
I was going to say there's a lot of people that are wondering, especially when he stumbled like he did. That was the odd part. I guess your back going out could cause you to do that, but I don't know.
So I never had back spasms. I've had some asms, but not spasms.
I've had some back issues, and I just couldn't move at all. Like there's no way I could move in the way that he was moving, all like kind of flopping.
Yeah,
like when my back was
concussion-esque, like your head got rocked.
It looked that way.
I mean,
but looks can be deceiving.
He looked punch drunk. Who knows what?
Hopefully, for a franchise that has had some issues with things being above bar lately, hopefully it's all good and there's no issues there.
We'll see. Keep your eyes out. DeAndre Swift, on the other hand, not good news. Shoulder injury. They said today that he's going to sit for 2 weeks till then the bye comes and come after the bye. So he's going to be gone for the next 3 weeks. Puts Jamal Williams in the driver's seat, which right now the Lions offense is looking good. Like it's cooking. Amon-Ra St. Brown looking fantastic. Josh Reynolds contributing where he can.
Yep.
Jamison Williams is not there yet.
Even
TJ
DJ
Hawkinson
Chark.
had a touchdown. Chark is doing okay. Yep. Jamal Williams has looked really good in his opportunities. Had a touchdown this week.
Air hump the hell out of that.
Yeah, look for him to be a little bit more involved.
Did you hear him describing it though?
No.
He broke it down for like me. He was like embarrassed that it like caused the team 15 yards because he's like the emotional, spiritual like leader of the team, and he was really embarrassed. He's like, but it's more of like a hip wave more than it is like, and he's like trying to describe it. That dude's the best.
I heard him say he's like, it's more like a hip wave.
Yeah,
yeah, it is. And I was watching it too. I'm like,
I mean, he's not wrong.
I mean, it's inviting. I guess, to say the least.
But I mean, he's been doing like the same celebration for years, so it's funny that it got flagged now. Like he's not a rookie,
right? Know, come on. I mean, no air molecules were hurt, or they weren't offended. So, and then finally, Jalen Guyton, he tore his ACL. He's out for the.
Real quick on the DeAndre Swift, Craig Reynolds could become interesting.
True.
With this news, we know that Jamal Williams already had a surprisingly large chunk of the pie. I think kind of people were thinking it would be more DeAndre Swift, and it's once again been pretty fairly split overall, and even in favor on the rushing side of things for Jamal Williams.
Yeah, short yardage, all goal line carries, all go to Jamal Williams.
Exactly. So I don't know that he's going to get a huge boost. I think he'll get a little bit of a boost. You know, we might see another 3 to 5 touches, but I think Craig Reynolds will be the one that'll kind of come in and supplant some of those things that we would have seen from DeAndre Swift.
And showed he was viable last year, given the opportunity. So if anything happens to Jamal Williams whatsoever, Craig Reynolds goes right back to the starting job, and he was a flex play startable last year in that opportunity.
With how bad running back is right now, just worth a waiver wire ad.
Yeah, I mean, literally any running back that's number 2 in line, like you want to add them because you are looking for help. So speaking of running back help, I mean, let's talk about some of these running backs, shall we? It's been a year of disappointment from top to bottom so far. Very early.
It's only 3 weeks.
Maybe this is a new NFL. These early games are going to be real bad because of the preseason games. Nobody's really playing them. But, I mean, let's go through the list, shall we?
We shall.
Jonathan Taylor, 15.6 PPR points per game, only 9.7 points per game over the past 2 weeks. 15.6 isn't bad. Unless you're the number 1 overall running back in the game.
We had 22 points per game last year. Right. So that's a pretty precipitous drop.
I feel like every year we go over this same exercise in the fact that we try to prop up the same guy and it's always a rotation. You know what I mean? Sure. There's always a new guy that kind of climbs that mountain and becomes the running back 1 overall. Right?
The problem is no one's rotated up. Everyone just kept rotating down, and there's been nobody really to like stand up and be great.
It is early.
It is. But usually you see in the first 2 or 3 weeks, you're like, this guy's averaging 30 points per game. Is that sustainable? Like we're usually having the other question about 2 or 3 guys at least. So far, it's nobody.
Yeah. I mean, Chubb is the guy. Obviously, he had three touchdown game
really
in week
boosted
2.
that, yeah.
Currently running back 1.
So
overall.
he's the running back 1 overall right now, and he's doing it without catching many passes. So that's, who knows if that's sustainable? Doubt it. I mean, that's touchdown dependency at its best right there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now sitting there at RB3 in PPR, based off purely the opposite.
I don't like that you skipped number 2, but that's fine.
I was gonna come back to James Robinson.
Fine, you just skip from 1 to 3.
It's called saving the best for last.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
And James Robinson sitting there at number 2, who nobody saw being here right now, and he's the kind of out of the blue type of guy that I was maybe referring to as a guy that kind of comes out of nowhere. So
complete shocker, James Robinson. Like, he's just being the odds here.
I'm a little
very
shocked than most people.
Very happy. I mean, again, for what I mean, it had nothing to do ever with the player. It was just the situation. I mean, the Achilles injury.
Right.
And he's a complete outlier. Complete outlier. So, I mean, yeah, you mentioned Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's kind of stepped up his game up. James Robinson's come back in and picked up where he left off. So that's a kind of a different, still a shine.
Surprising, though.
I mean, I'm with Matt. I mean, still a name, but from a fantasy football outlook, who's always been that low end running back 1, kind of fighting just to be a running back 1. Nick Chubb, a very pleasant surprise getting done.
For sure.
To me, and I'm not saying this is a Browns homer, easily looks like the best running back in the NFL, like by a large margin. So right now we have this huge, like,
chasm
of just what running back, right? Like, what do we do? And there's no better answer that's right around the corner of this 23 class. It's super deep at running back. So we're probably looking at a colossal shakeup here at the position. I mean, let's run through some of the other guys. We'll hit. I want to have all the names real quick, and then we'll go through them individually. And we got Christian McCaffrey averaging 15.3 points per game. I think we'll go through the names, and we'll go back to them. Okay.
Thought we were going through the names.
Austin Eckler, 14.3 points per game. Derrick Henry, 14 points per game. Javonte Williams, 13.8 points per game.
13.8 points per touch. Is that what that was? Sorry, go ahead.
That's what it seems like.
Joe Mixon, 13.2 points per game. Najee Harris, 12.5 points per game. Dalvin Cook, 11.7 points per game. Alvin Kamara, 7.5 points per game. Going back, so let's start at the top. Jonathan Taylor. Any concern about Jonathan Taylor whatsoever? Because I'll start with me, zero concern.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Christian McCaffrey. Any concern?
My only concern is the little note that I put in here. It's the targets, because that's what made Christian McCaffrey great. Right. Was just every game you could count on 7, 8, 9 targets in a game. He's had 5 or fewer in every single game so far. It's odd. It's odd for what we've seen out of him, because even though it's been tons of different quarterbacks, they've all checked it down to him a lot. And just so far, he's just not getting those touches. So when we were seeing these 25, 30, 35-point games, now so far it's 3 games. But so far we're seeing like 18, 14. Like, we're not seeing these monster games.
Nothing superhuman, right?
But
Everything is just normal.
What's really encouraging, though, is he's like 4th or 5th in the NFL in rushing yards.
He's gotten a lot of rushing attempts.
Yeah, so there's a big window. Like, he falls in that category. Definitely this time of the year, you get some of those owners that panic, right? Like, I already went through our original league today. I was looking at a team that I was like, all right, who's 0-3, right? Like, and we have an 0-3 team that has some old players on it. And I was like, oh, who can I scalp off of this guy? And I was like, this guy's not showing me anything. But like, if a team has Christian McCaffrey and somehow there's a lot of teams this year that might have looked really good on paper that aren't producing.
Absolutely. And
sometimes at 0-3, they start to panic and say, okay, give me that draft capital. If Christian McCaffrey can be bought off of just what he's done on the ground, I'm still encouraged. I know for a fact he can get done in the receiving game. And they're going to have to pivot somewhere in Carolina. They're going to have to switch something up here. I think there's still a lot of room for Christian McCaffrey to finish as a top 3 fantasy running back on the season.
There's room for all of these guys. I mean, because it's very unsolidified.
There's some of these guys on this list I do not see room for.
Okay, I shouldn't say all of these guys, but I think a lot of these guys, there's a chance that they could still get up there. But especially Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor. I think those 2 guys. The rest of the list, I think we'll have a hard time. But I saw it from the early part of the season, or like before the season. I still think that there's enough there that they could absolutely still be one of those guys.
So Austin Eckler, 14.3 points per game, like we mentioned, only 2.5 yards per rush and 0 touchdowns on the last year. This is a guy who's averaged almost 22 points per game last year.
And the touchdowns, having 0 touchdowns through 3 games is really the thing that's sticking out to me with Eckler anyway.
Just lost Rashawn Slater. They're all pro left tackle. Joey Bosa's a little banged up as well.
And this was why he was one of my biggest sells in the offseason, was because he had 12 rushing just rushing,
right.
Not even receiving. He had 12 rushing touchdowns last year. Somebody like him specifically, but any player is probably due for regression, but especially a guy that's known for his receiving chops, not for his rushing chops. They drafted guys. They're bringing in even freaking Sony Michel. Like, they want some bigger backs. He's averaging 2.5 yards per carry. He only got 4 attempts this past week. Like,
it's weird usage. I mean, and it was 8 receiving touchdowns as well last year. So 20 total touchdowns is what really boosted him up last year. Although he did have 911 rushing yards. So he was used more traditionally last year, like kind of between the tackles and stuff, or at least as a pure running back. So it's been odd usage for Eckler early on in the season. We'll see if it continues.
I'm selling as fast as I can.
That team is a bit of a mess right now, especially with
Herbert hurt.
Slater
probably missing the year.
Yeah, and what's his name's been out. Keenan
Allen's been out. Yep.
I took your advice. I sold Austin Eckler last year.
Did you?
Got Michael Pittman.
Yeah,
from somebody.
That's the
only. And a second.
That's
and
the only. That's the only Austin Eckler I have. I bought him mid-season last year
from him.
I was like, I need a little bit more than Pittman, buddy. He's like, I'll give you 24 seconds, the best I could do.
Wow.
I was like, all right.
It's a burn notice right there.
Feel really good about that trade.
This guy over here.
It's still early. It's still early,
but I am. That's my one share, and I wish I.
So.
But I'm a contender, though,
in
so
Dynasty.
It's tough to sell him.
So in Dynasty, if you have Eckler, you're going to be a contender. Like if you own Eckler, you're most likely a contender.
Correct.
If you're offloading Garrett right now, Austin Eckler, like try to be safe. Is there any running back out there that you would feel comfortable with still being a contender that you can backtrack on Eckler for? Because Eckler, I think, still holds the name value.
He does still hold name value.
I think we're still early enough in the season. People aren't panicking. I think a lot of people are probably looking to capitalize on this and try to find these buy windows, right? Because at the same time, there are buy windows now. Like these are players you're trying to buy.
The one I think you probably couldn't get, but the first name that comes to mind that I would try for would be Breece Hall. Breece Hall hasn't done a ton yet on the year. Most Dynasty owners are pretty savvy. They probably won't give you Breece Hall, but that would be the first name that I would go after. After that, another name actually on the list currently that I think you might be able to get, similar age range, but I just have less concerns on the year. I would probably go after Joe Mixon. I would rather have Joe Mixon over Austin Eckler personally. Mm-hmm. Those are the first two that really come to mind. Because right now you're not getting Swift. You won't get Chubb. You're like, most of these guys are younger, so you're not going to be able to get a younger running back unless you're really scaling back your projected value of that player.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you can get Breece Hall. That's probably not going to happen. Any name pop to your mind, Matt?
No, I wanted to ask you, dig in on that Joe Mixon a little bit more. I mean, another team that's struggling, mm-hmm. and like you said, pretty similar to aged guy. You would rather
you get 2 years with Joe Mixon, which is kind of what would put me over the top on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I get that one. That one to me,
I like that move.
Feels okay, but at the same time a little bit dirty.
Well, it doesn't feel exciting because he's not producing.
Right.
What about Antonio Gibson plus?
How much plus? Because I would need a
decent
plus.
I would need a decent plus too for an Antonio Gibson trade, just because knowing that Brian Robinson's coming back. I mean, they haven't, besides that one game,
first game,
used him the way I would hope that he was used, especially in the passing game and stuff like that. So
we need to be a pretty solid plus.
It would have to be a pretty good plus.
Very solid plus. Okay, so Antonio Gibson's still in that range there. I was curious. I'm trying to think of some of these guys out there. Because the problem is the market's so bad. Like there's not many other runs. That's a problem. The whole market's bad. It's not just Austin Eckler.
The only other player that even sort of comes to mind would be if you wanted to test the waters on Kenneth Walker. I've never been the biggest Kenneth Walker guy. I know you were a bigger fan, so I'll defer to you if you would want to do that trade. But at this point, with him not getting a ton of usage, I would need a pretty solid plus on top of Kenneth Walker, and I don't know that you would get it.
I am so confused of what's going on in Seattle, where they had a guy they bring back and they paid him because he dominated the year at the end of the year last year, Rashad Penny. They take the second running back off the board this year in Kenneth Walker high in the second round. I understand he wasn't healthy early, and then all of a sudden, week 2, Travis Homer's in for all third downs, looks pretty good. Week 3, DJ Dallas is in for all third downs, and Travis Homer's out. Like, you have these 2 running backs that are supposed to be your studs, and you're not even using them, and your team sucks right now. Like, sorry, Geno Smith sucks. Like, I
first week, it was a fun story.
Yeah, right.
But that's week 1, you're placing Russell Wilson. There's a lot going on. You're at home, so like I get that, right? Like that does make sense. But like, and I still love Kenneth Walker, but I mean, this offensive line's not that great. Right. They still have Penny. Like, I feel like the Walker value could dip more. But if I get Kenneth Walker plus for Austin Eckler, like if somebody's so worried about that, if I can get Kenneth Walker and a first and a Curtis Samuel for Austin Eckler, I would do that. Yeah.
Would you?
That falls in the line. Like, honestly, if I can get like Kenneth Walker and Calvin Ridley, I'd do it. Like Curtis Samuel falls in that category. Calvin Ridley falls in that category. I'd love to get some kind of like a receiver with upside there.
Sky Moore.
Sky Moore. Oh, if I can get Kenneth Walker and Sky Moore, that's 2 firsts essentially for Austin Eckler. Yeah. That's where I'm looking at it because I mean Curtis Samuel is worth like he's pushing his value every week closer to that worth a first because trust me, I've tried to get him. I offered somebody a guaranteed 2-1 for him, and the answer back was just no. So yeah, I'll do Curtis Samuel, Calvin Ridley. I love to get Kenneth Walker and a receiver. Even as a contender, though, again, we said you're most likely a contender. That's a real hard maneuver to make.
Yeah.
What about swinging for a guy like what if you can get Cordero Patterson plus a first for Austin Eckler?
I would do that. I would do that all day because I think you'll get enough production this year in your contending year. Plus, you'll get a valuable draft pick. So I would do it.
Okay,
I'm with you there as well on that one. I mean, Cordell Patterson. That's basically their whole rushing attack over there.
Okay, so Derrick Henry, somebody who we talked about going into the year, he's at like 1,473 rushes. We know the 1,500 rushes is that like plummet stage. Hasn't been as dominant on the ground here, coming off that foot injury. We were real worried about him. Now, his passing game has kind of stepped up pretty big time, though.
This week specifically.
Yeah, I was going to say, looked better this week and caught 5 passes. 5 passes, I think.
Yeah, I think he was 5 for 6, I believe. Yeah. But he had 0 and 1 targets in the first 2 games. So we'll see if this week was the new norm or if the first 2 weeks are the norm.
Could we lump these guys, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, not Joe. I don't want to lump Joe Mixon in that mix, but Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler. These 27-year-old, 28-year-old running backs. Can we lump them in a whole? Are you guys at a point with all 4 of those names? Are you doing everything in your power to offload them now?
I don't know if right now is the time. I might wait for them to actually show a little something. I mean, Derrick Henry did show something this week, so maybe
this will be a good week.
Maybe this wouldn't be a bad time for him.
Soon is probably a better term. Like, are you like now? And by now, I mean like this. Yeah, before your trade deadline. Are you actively? Would you recommend to our audience, which is what I would recommend? I want to see how you guys feel like. No matter what state your team is in, to offload all 4 of these players and just kind of start laying that groundwork now to find that best deal up into the deadline. Obviously, more injuries will occur to running backs. You hope it's not one of these guys. Your value completely drops out. But into that point, are you trying to actively, as a dynasty owner, move these guys off your roster? Because I know I am.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is the time for me to move these 27, 28. The cliff is coming. If you can get something of value, it's a real weird market this year. Where that's what the whole conversation is based off of. So if you can get something, if you can find a window where they have 2 or 3 good games and somebody else gets injured and it's like the perfect storm where you're getting above the moon type of offers from people, then 100% upload.
No, I'm not saying above the moon offers.
I'm saying 100% unload them at that point. But even if it's one of those things where you're just getting whatever you can and it's a first, like a single first or something.
I want to say what is that line for you guys of the minimum you would take a first, straight up first?
Yeah,
I would take a straight up first for Derrick Henry. I would take a straight up first for Alvin Kamara.
Cook's a tough one for me.
Eckler, I'd want a little bit more than a first. Dalvin Cook, I'd want a little bit more than a first.
Cook's the toughest one of this group because I still believe in that offense enough.
Yeah.
I still believe in the player enough. He's the hardest one for me, but he might also be the one you get the most for.
He might be.
I think he would be the one you should get the most
Pending-
for. And then
pending
him and
the
Eckler
shoulder.
potentially.
Pending the shoulder.
Pending
yep.
the shoulder is okay.
Pending shoulder. I think he can bounce back this week with a good matchup and rebound there. I mean, I'm looking at deals, like I said, that kind of almost the deal where I just moved Terry McLaurin for, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I got Sky Moore plus the first. Like I'm trying to find a young player back that isn't all of a sudden that the cherry, the explosion, the hype for has kind of died down a little bit. Sky Moore falls in that category, which again, there's risks to take there, but you offset that risk with the first.
And the tough part is in the offseason, you are more than likely not getting a first anymore because everybody's going to start to learn these names. Everybody's going to learn about Bijan Robinson and Sean Tucker.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yes, they're going to learn about all of these players, and they're going to say, why would I want a 28-year-old running back when I have a 21-year-old running back?
And that's a huge concern about these age running backs is we have a very strong class coming at running back. Probably the strongest class we've seen at running back since the Christian McCaffrey draft coming in here. So
either that or, I mean, it depends on which one you think stronger, that one or the Taylor, Dobbins, Swift, that class in 2020.
I'm not ready to hype that class to that point yet just because not all of them have produced yet.
Yeah, but that was a good class, though.
A very good class. But I'm talking about a class that actually, like, you're right. None of these guys produce yet either, but that at least of a hype class.
Sure.
Because you're right, because that class was pretty hyped, where the first pretty much couple picks were all running backs there.
Right.
So, worry there. Let's go to your guys, Javonte Williams. I mean, this is somebody like.
This is a different one than all of the others.
It is. But for me, this is exactly what I told you guys what I thought would happen for this year. Literally to a T. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back at all. And I still like Javonte long term, but I think for this season was kind of like I compared it to like the Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb kind of situation. Yeah. Now Nick Chubb has kind of run away with it a little bit, like literally, and he's really kind of shown his dominance there, not to take him on the field there. Kareem Hunt's still going in on third down. But Javonte Williams and Joe Mixon have still been, or Melvin Gordon has still been a pretty 50-50 split here. So to me, 13.8 points per game is kind of exactly where I saw him coming this year. And I know you guys thought it'd be a little bit different, but for me, this is exactly what I envisioned. I'm going to say that 5 times in a row.
I'm frustrated as a
ditto.
As a Javonte Williams truther,
Yeah.
as someone that is physically watching him play. And this is no slight against Melvin Gordon because I will give credit where credit's due. I think for the most part with him running the football, he's looked pretty solid. So this is no slight against Melvin Gordon. However, you have a 22-year-old running back that you took in the second round last year. I know Hackett didn't, but your team took in the second round. He's breaking tackles at an ungodly rate. And Melvin Gordon is he fumbled twice last night. Twice. And he's still getting the goal line work. Like, it's that kind of stuff that's frustrating to me. And I get it. You want to keep all these guys fresh, but we're even getting Javonte spelled for Mike Boone. I mean, that
on third down?
On third downs.
He had, shocker.
Come on.
He went from, and these are rough numbers, but 55% snap share to a 68% snap share in week 2. You're thinking, okay, going in the right direction. He's had 2 good games, 19 some points the first game, and things are looking good. Down to a 45% snap share on a game where they really needed to run against this good 49ers front. It made no sense to me. But to your credit, regardless if it's smart or not, this is what they are doing right now. And for now, he has to be considered a low-end RB1 to a high-end RB2 as opposed to the guy that we think he could be.
I have nothing else to add. When I watch it, I am also angry. It's ridiculous because the guy pops every time he touches the ball. And Melvin Gordon, like you said, he's not doing anything wrong, but he's not doing anything special either.
Right.
He's getting what's blocked there in front of him, while Javonte is getting what's blocked there in front of him and making people miss in the open field. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. There must be some sort of reason behind the scenes that he's not getting more carries. He must need to get a naked photo of somebody's something to bribe or get the blackmail. That's the word I'm looking for. His way onto the field more. I don't.
Somebody's naked something.
It's ridiculous, man.
It is.
So, like most of these shows, we're running a little over here. We have some show topics we're going to have to carry over to the Nerd Herd show. Before we go into that, we got to do our sleeper buy or sell of the week. This segment is sponsored by Sleeper, the number one hosting platform out there today. If you're not playing on Sleeper, you got to check them out. It's free to play. Dynasty, Redraft, they have all kinds of other games going on there. Sleeper right now. Sleeper, buy or sell of the week. Does anybody want to go, or do you want me to go?
Go ahead. We can either do it,
Okay.
with this one or the next one.
I'm going to go right now. My sleeper buy of the week is going to be kind of somebody who Matt talked about earlier this summer. And right now it's really coming to fruition. Matt's right once again. Definitely the most savvy host on the show. Sorry, Garrett. Sorry, Rich. And it's going to be Tyler Conklin, tight end for the Jets. Right now, the Jets offense looks pretty solid. Joe Flacco's bad. They're manning the ship. And I know some people will be like, well, what happens when Zach Wilson comes back? Well, if he's competent, this offense should thrive. And right now, Tyler Conklin, I'm buying because of the price tag. Real cheap. I'm buying him as a backup tight end. He's coming in. He's running right now. When you look at stats amongst tight ends by themselves, like he's at the top of the list when it comes to routes run. Tyler Conklin's at the very top. He's at the very top of the list. Plays run on offense, 200. He's at the top of the list. He's ran 141 routes, top of the list. He's seen at least 5 targets per game. So in a tight end premium game, he's really kind of looking at himself as like a flex play, right? Like, or as a solid backup. And when we talk about these tight ends that are a smorgasbord of average, I think Tyler Conklin's value is there for pennies on the dollar, right? So when I say buy Tyler Conklin, it's not like this savvy move you're making. But I mean, if you're looking for depth at tight end, which I think everybody's looking for, when Zach Wilson comes back, if this offense could take another step forward and keep evolving, there's targets there every single game. So for me, I think he's a nice little savvy little buy to put on your roster as somebody you might not potentially start, but to have in your back pocket.
Do you have any concerns about CJ Uzomah when he comes back from injury or no?
CJ Uzomah is just somebody who's never really kind of like wowed me. You know what I mean? And this wasn't I have a different buy or sell. I mean, I was talking about Terry McLaurin as my original sell. It was one of those stat lines when I was digging into it, I just couldn't get by that I didn't want to mention on my show. So I was like, this is my sleeper buy of the week, Tyler Conklin.
Tyler Conklin, he's a try-hard type of guy, but he is getting the targets, like you said. And I think there's something that every team kind of likes about him that he's been on, and he fights for the extra yards. He does all the extra little things, and that's going to earn you playing time in this league on certain teams,
especially with a guy like Robert Saleh.
Absolutely. So I think he brings the type of tough mentality that they like there on the team. So I mean, right now he's sitting at tight end 3 in
it's wild. It's wild.
Oh, is he tight end 3?
Yeah,
tight end 3.
In PPR.
I had no idea. So I didn't even. I'm looking at all these stats. I didn't even look at his standing where he wasn't.
He's lumped in with a lot of people. He's very close to a lot of different people, and then it's Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. So that are leaps and bounds above everyone. But he's right there. I mean, Zach Ertz is right below him.
I literally had no idea.
Right below him. Yeah.
Funny.
I mean, everything that like sit here points at like everything I was looking at the numbers that I wanted to see, right? Snaps on offense, routes run, targets per game. Like, oh my gosh, Tyler Conklin's like just leading the pack here.
And we'll see what happens when Zach Wilson comes back too. So that's another factor in this right now. Obviously,
Flacco's played pretty well.
Flacco's been a good facilitator, and I mean, it's not like he's played out of the world or anything, but he's been doing good things.
He's been getting Garrett Wilson points, and that's what matters.
And that's what I mean.
Matter.
Like, it looks so for
good.
fantasy football.
Fantastic.
He's making these guys relevant. So hopefully he sticks around for a little bit longer because Zach Wilson, I don't know that we can say that same thing about him.
He'll be back next week.
Yeah, we'll see. So
I like Zach Wilson in class. That the quarterbacks does not look good so far. Like besides Trevor Lawrence, like he has a chance to hopefully validate my number 2 ranking behind had him ahead of Justin Fields where nobody else did. And I hope that really comes through.
Justin Fields hasn't been spectacular either.
I know that's what I'm saying. Hopefully, it come through and make me look good.
Yeah,
a lot of things make me look bad, like a mirror.
I was like, a mirror. No, that's Amari.
No.
Amir Cooper. So what do you think about, so before we get into the show, we got to talk about our friends at Prediction Strike as well.
Yeah.
Let's get that out there and then maybe let's move on to the Nerd Herd show.
Because Prediction Strike, they're great. I love what they're doing. I love the platform. You can go on the app. You can buy. You can sell players, and it's not solely just based on like stock market, like how many people are buying this, how many people are selling this. It also factors in their expected point totals for like fantasy points, basically, which is stuff that you're looking at all the time too. So even if you're like, nobody knows about this player, they're not going to be buying or selling this guy. It's like a unknown. Well, it's still, their price can still go up or down based on their performances. So get on there if there's some of these players that have been underperforming so far, they're like, this is not going to last much longer. They are due for some positive regression.
All the running backs we were just talking about.
Basically, all of them are down right now. Buy them all. Go on there. Look, we did that with Michael Pittman Jr. before the season. That's paid off handsomely so far.
Yeah.
Go in there, look at these players, see who you like. And you know what? If you use our promo code Dynasty, you get a free share of a player. So just a little extra sprinkled on top to get you to go over to PredictionStrike.com or download their app on the App Store.
All right, that's it. We got a couple. How about we end with quick hits? No explanations. It's in the show sheet. We probably won't get to the next show anyways.
Okay.
Let's do some quick hits. I'm going to ask you guys a question, and we'll all three give our answers, and then that's how we'll end the show.
Okay.
We'll promo go out for the Nerd Herd, so everybody can join and be a part of the Nerd Herd.
Okay.
And then that's it. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Dynasty, PPR leagues. Devontae Smith or Cortland Sutton?
Smith.
Smith.
Offense is better. Go ahead.
Drake
I know I'm not
London
supposed to say anything.
or Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson for me.
I'll stick with my top receiver beforehand, Wilson.
Me also.
It's got a lot tougher over the last 2 weeks,
It has.
and Wilson's my number one receiver on tape going into it, but I'm still going to lead Drake London because his target share is so heavy. Christian Kirk or Rashad Bateman?
Give me Kirk.
Give me Bateman.
I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Yep. Go
Give me
ahead.
Kirk.
Yep.
DK Metcalf or DJ Moore?
Metcalf.
This one, I put it on here and it made me want to puke when I did it.
DJ Moore for me.
How can you pick that?
Easily.
How
Dude,
did you pick
his-
that?
I think I'm going
Dude,
DK Metcalf.
These are quick hits. We don't have time.
Okay, right.
I think I'm going Metcalf.
Amari Cooper or Deontay Johnson?
Cooper.
Cooper. And that's it. That's your Dynasty analysis for the week. Now you know, and no one's half the battle. Go, Joe. If you want to join the Nerd Herd, promo code football 15%. Get on there. And I know you're like, hey, man, like we're in the middle of the season. Like, what are this Dynasty site's going to do for me? We're going to do a lot. We're going to give you the Dynasty Nerds film room so you can watch these rookies and get ready for the 23 class. All 22 films, sons. You get on there and dominate. You get the extra podcast. We're going to get, we have a lot more to talk about. We got a whole another hour show to do. So we got a lot more to talk about. You get the Dynasty GM, which is the greatest tool in Dynasty Fantasy Football.
Absolutely. Like I'm trying to organize my teams right now. I'm like, okay, what trades do I need to make? I don't understand. If you have more than like 3 leagues, I honestly don't know how you would do it without the GM tool.
Yeah, we literally built the tool because we all play in a lot of Dynasty leagues. We need something. We need a tool to streamline this. Yes. And for the price of a cup of coffee, if you use that promo code, literally for the price of a cup of coffee a month, less than the price of a cup of coffee a month, to be honest with you, because I drank those nitro cold brews, add ice in a venti cup. So
it's like $6.
$5.25. I get one every day. Woof. Yeah, it's why my kids can't go to college. Sorry, kids. Daddy needs his caffeine.
Daddy needs to stay awake.
Nitro caffeine. But with the price of a cup of coffee, you get the Dynasty Nerds film room, you get the Nerd Score, and you get the Dynasty GM and so much more. And all I ask is, hey, support the game of Dynasty Fantasy Football, support the podcast, sign up, try it out. If you like it, stick around. If you don't, it's not for you. No hard feelings. Everything is getting a facelift and upgraded. The Dynasty GM is getting a lot more tools added to it here in the next probably couple months. So now's the time to get in. You never know. Prices could go up. You never know because it's going to be so sweet. Check it out. See if it's for you. I guarantee you're going to have a good time doing it. For the price of a cup of coffee, streamline your Dynasty leagues. Remember, if you have leagues in Sleeper, MFL, Flea Flicker, FFPC, like all of them could be streamlined in one place. All your leagues in one place.
And you can manually load them too, don't you forget.
You can manually load your entire league in a couple leagues. See the trade calculator. See the league analyzer. It's my favorite thing to use. Get on there. We have a lot more player cards and stuff coming. You're going to be very excited to see what the GM can do here in the next couple months in 2.0. It's going to be absolutely stunning with more things in the pipeline. Check it out. Use that promo code football. That way you're only paying the price of a cup of coffee. Check us out. Give us a chance. See if it's for you. We'll be back next week talking Dynasty Week 4 in review. Hope all your players come out healthy. More importantly, hope the Browns come out with a W to go up to 4-3-1.
3-1.
I'm not good at arithmetic.
Well, we almost counted the Jets game as
there was a 99.9% probability. Ugh. Adios.